Yes, we are there. Welcome, everybody. Midwest Elevation, how are you today? It's beautiful here in the great state of Iowa. We are almost at 60 degrees. It's incredible. We have the spring of deception that we're in, or fake spring. The cold will come back for a little bit. But so hopefully it's beautiful where you are too. And if it's not beautiful outside, know you're beautiful inside, right? So, welcome. We are here with another Tuesday conversation to raise the collective consciousness. I am your host, Renee Zukin, educator and writer, and all curator of things here in Midwest Elevation, where we like to do the inner work to see the outer change. So, let me introduce my guest to you today. I am here with Robyn Smith. Let me share my screen here. There we go. All the clicks. Let us know you're here. Give us a shout out there in the comments below. Say hello. So we are here with Robyn Smith. We are going to be talking about conscious thriving relationships, and especially that conscious communication that needs to take place in order to have those thriving relationships. Robyn is committed to helping women and couples to shift from frustrated to fulfilled in their relationships. She believes that true connection is everyone's greatest longing and birthright. Amen to that. Yet, of course, layers of complex trauma have gotten in the way of her clients' ability to enjoy ease and harmony in their relationships. She helps her clients to unwind what's in the way of experiencing true connection and satisfaction so they can start having fun again. Robyn is the founder of Conscious Thriving Relationships, the Rock Your Relationship Women's Coaching Group, and an award-winning speaker. And she has created the Healthy Relationship Sisterhood, a thriving, free Facebook community of women supporting each other to uplevel their relationships and learn from Robyn's free weekly trainings. I'm a member of that group. There's some incredible stuff happening in there. She is a body-centered relationship coach certified to work with developmental and complex trauma. She is also, She is also certified Anusara yoga instructor trained in sky dancing tantra, and she has been teaching yoga for over 26 years. She offers an online yoga membership with Patrick, her husband, of 19 years. So, welcome. Welcome, Robyn. Let me stop sharing my screen so we can see your beautiful face. Let me get it. Technology, you guys. It's amazing, right? I can't get my clicker over on, there we go. Thank you for bearing with us. Welcome, Robyn. There we are. There we go.
Thanks so much for having me, Renee. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, I'm so grateful you're here. I'm so interested in, of course, all things consciousness related, but really that, our biggest struggles, right? It's easy to live a conscious life when you don't have to worry about other people.
True.
Right? But you throw other people in the mix and suddenly you're, they're showing their true selves to you and yours to them, throwing up those mirrors. And so I think the work you're doing is super important. So yeah, give us a little backstory. How did you get into this work?
Quick backstory. So I've been doing yoga since high school, and yoga is a conscious path of so much awareness internally of your body and your mind and breath and all that. So for me, I was teaching lots of classes, workshops, retreats, teacher training events, training lots of teachers. And at some point I just felt like I was lacking depth. I wanted, even though there's a lot of depth in teacher trainings, I'm still the teacher to the group, and I'm telling you what to do with your body, or I'm teaching you about philosophy, but it's not really personal. So I was seeking another layer of depth for my work and also for myself, because I was struggling in my relationships, both in work and at home, and realizing that all the yoga that I've been doing and all the studying, I was studying tantric philosophy and everything, and that is such a beautiful body of work, but it wasn't actually helping me that much in the day to day, in the, like, rubber meets the road relationship world. So that's where I was like, I need to take this further. And so I studied to become a coach. And here I am today.
That's wonderful. It's
Yeah.
so true. I like that you put those pieces together too, because you can go through, it's almost like going through the motions. I mean, obviously you're in it, right? The yoga training or doing, any type of growth work that we're involved in. Um, but seeing it, like as you said, in the day to day, how is it really showing up? Is it showing up only when I'm on the yoga mat, or is it showing up only when I'm, writing in my journal? Is it showing up only when I'm meditating?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's uh,
Yeah.
what a key understanding that you came to.
Yeah, and it's not like it didn't help my life or support, what I was up to, but when I was where I was stuck, yoga was not, I wasn't able to, might have just been me, but I wasn't able to implement. And, you know, um, yeah, yoga is more of a general scope of philosophy and how to be in the world, and ethics, and behaviors, of course, too. But it just, yeah, I was just seeking that, like, the ways I was stuck with self-esteem and, communication and various areas of my life that I felt like I was not moving along the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's usually a good sign when you're feeling stuck, that there's something next.
yeah, yeah, you
And
missed
you,
it.
yeah, and you have something very big coming up next. We were just talking about that conscious communication and how it's key to those thriving relationships. If somebody had no idea what we were talking about when you
Mhm,
when you say
mhm,
conscious communication, what would you
mhm. No, that's a
where
great
would you start?
question. Yeah, right. Because when I think of the term like conscious in terms of communication, I think of awareness, like being tuned into how you're speaking. And so that's definitely a big part of it. But it's also making choices that for how to speak and when to speak, um, and sort of context. So context and content, we could say,
Mm,
with our speech that that is effective and that gets the results that we actually want, which for most of us is to be heard and understood, to be gotten on a
right.
deeper level, and of
Not
course.
right. Our goal isn't to be right, but to be heard.
Correct. Or,
Which I think,
I agree.
for me personally, I know that that's something that I've had to work on
Yeah,
for many years.
yeah, yeah. I get it. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's part of it, right? And yoga does teach about like working with your ego as well. And that's, that we could call that part of our ego, is wants to be right and wants to be seen and like recognized and all that. And so that's not bad or wrong. It's just that how we go about getting our needs met, and the problem is most of us have not been taught skillful communication. We
Mm,
weren't modeled it. Most of us are modeled very unskillful, ineffective types of communication that includes blaming and complaining and arguing and defensiveness and, attacking and counterattacking, and it's very, it just very frustrating
yeah.
to live in those cycles. And that was my experience. So actually communication was my doorway sort of off the mat and into like, the coaching world, as I started to do a lot of communication training before I started to get interested in coaching, because we all, have to deal with communicating ourselves,
Yes.
our desires and our boundaries and all that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
It's hard though, especially with those people closest to us. I mean, even if we're not talking about partners, but our family members, and
Yeah.
when something's coming up and it's pretty vulnerable,
Hmm.
um, what is I'm I don't know what the question is in there other than like, for me, it's like, yeah, I absolutely want that, but how do I sort of get over the part where it's scary?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for asking that.
Yeah.
It's not like we're not going to be scared in life. Like fear is just part of the deal, when we're entering into new unfamiliar territory.
Mm.
So of course it gets easier as you practice and have positive experiences, but I think when you're armed, so to speak, with skills and experience that worked for you, you're going to be less scared to to address, whatever issues might need to be addressed or have that hard conversation. But it makes so much sense what you say around, being vulnerable, and like it can be really hard with family because we're sort of pickled in a certain environment growing up, and a lot of that, the brine, so to speak,
Yeah, I
especially with
love that metaphor.
metaphor, is not always healthy for us. It can be toxic, and so we don't know another way. And then if we go away from that and we learn and we start to evolve and work through some of our stuff, it may be that they haven't done their similar amount of work, so it may still be hard to come back and engage with that unhealthy dynamic when someone's still meeting you with the same front or same drama or whatnot. So
Right,
yeah, it can
right,
be super challenging.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
and then knowing like when, like if this is what I keep getting from the other, what, then what can I do with it?
yeah, yeah. That is such an important question, or what do I want to do with it?
Hmm.
Because we have some big choices to make sometimes about people that we're in relationship with. And as we do our inner work, we often leave certain relationships, that we realize are toxic or unhealthy in a certain way, or just not supportive, or just not giving us anything back, and or feel like a drain or whatever it is. And so we get to make conscious choices about who we keep in our inner circle, and that can change over time.
Hmm.
So, and part of our evolution includes loss, like the pain of loss. And that's just part of being an adult. Like, loss happens, and we need to learn how to integrate that, and face that, and accept it, and also turn towards what we want to create,
Mm.
instead of like keep facing into and turning towards that which is like unproductive.
Yeah, right, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what, I mean, because there is something better and more fulfilling that could be out there or is out there, right?
Agreed. Uh, Agreed. I'm all for, like, get fulfilled. Like, you deserve it. All of us deserve, no matter the color of your skin, where you grew up, and how, what country, whatever. It's like everybody deserves fulfillment. And of course, a lot of us have sought that with material goods and status and stuff. But we all probably know that's not very fulfilling in a long-term way, in a sustainable way. So
For sure.
yeah, yeah, I mean, most people find fulfillment in connection,
Yeah.
on the deathbed. It's like, oh, I wish I had spent more time with so and so. I wish I had enjoyed nature more, or
Hmm.
told so and so I loved him. Or it's never about how much money you made
Right,
on your final days, or your
right.
status. Yeah.
Well, and even, over the course of this last year, we've had an opportunity to really, I think about this a lot. We had to be picky about who we spent our time with, right? Who were we gonna bubble with? Or,
Yeah.
who are the most important people in my life? Which isn't to say that others aren't, but like what's possible, what am I willing to risk? And for who am I willing to risk that for
Hmm.
as well?
Yeah.
So I think we've had an opportunity to start to be thinking about that.
Yeah. Really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes those choices are hard. If someone, I was just talking to a client the other day about someone she really wants to see and spend some time with, and she's vaccinated, and their friends are not.
Mm.
And so, then there's a boundary that needs to be drawn, a choice that needs to be made. Like, it's not personal. I'd love to
Right.
spend some time with you, but I'm a little scared of getting COVID. And so I need to say no right now. And those are those hard choices sometimes
Yeah.
around just reality.
Right. Right. A reality we haven't faced before, but we're learning how to navigate.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Um, Tell me, I know Marty's here. I wanted to make sure I said hi to Marty. She's here watching us. Um, Tell me about, so you have a 7-day event coming up. Starts next week, yes?
Yes. March 15th.
So I'm super excited because this is, the conscious, and I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs, the conscious communication. Um, it's a challenge. So you got a 7-day challenge. So give us the details and kind of tell us what we can expect when we join
Yeah.
you.
Cool. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. I've done this before, but I'm pumping it up with more days, more training. So every day we're meeting at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, so your time, 7:30 p.m. just for about an hour, Monday through Friday that week, and those are live sessions in my Facebook group, and the group is called the Healthy Relationships Sisterhood that you mentioned already, actually, and yeah, so I'll be giving some training on healthy communication, and each day there'll be a solid takeaway that you can go implement, and I'll be asking you. So the challenge part of things is go take that and implement it at home in your family or with a friend or however, and then see how it goes and come back and report and learn from that. So you're going to get several implementable action steps that you can apply right away in your relationships, whether at work or at home. And so that's the first 5 days, and I'm giving away tons of prizes too. So that's prizes are fun. It keeps us engaged, and it's also a great incentive to keep learning, right, and not play.
Right.
And then day 6 is going to be Sunday afternoon, your time, 2 to 4. That's going to be a Zoom training. So we're going to take some of these skills and more and practice live together, in person on Zoom.
Right.
Instead of in the Facebook group, so we can see each other, because in the Facebook group only you can see me, I cannot see you. So we'll get to practice the skills with each other and buddy up, in a breakout room, come back. And so there's like just taking that whole thing to the next level.
Yeah.
And this is a juicy class I've taught a lot, actually. It's called 3 Keys to Creating True Connection. So that's the Sunday afternoon event. And then on the one more Monday evening on the 22nd, we are doing a live stream. And so I'll be taking another bit of teaching, and I'm planning on that being around intimacy. And then, and so you'll have more 3 steps to deeper intimacy, and as well as 3 guests who are going to offer a little teaching too. Yeah. So that's always fun.
So much. This is so much good stuff. I mean, the fact that like each day, right, you get one little nugget, and that we're, to be able to take it and practice it, and then have that huge implementation at the end to really practice, and to practice with people who, aren't your partner.
Right. Who are volunteering.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's all women, so the group is for women, so the training's for women. And yeah, there's something about bringing women together that feels very supportive and safe, and so that's why I wanted to create a container for women to practice and support each other in this way. So
yeah, that's really beautiful. Well, and I'll be sure to I'll put those links in the comments when we're done chatting here.
Yeah. So
yeah, all things are better live. That's what Marty says. All things are better live. It's true. It is nice when we get to see each other and interact.
Yeah, and I'll be there live every night, so you can ask your questions and get your questions answered on the spot. I'll be in the group, commenting after the fact, and people don't have to be there live. Like, of course, if you have a conflict, there'll be replays available for a little while. So
awesome. So how did you choose, we're working obviously on thriving relationships, but if you coach women, right?
Yeah, I have coached men and couples too. Yeah, but mostly women, mostly women want coaching, if you haven't noticed. So I will not turn down a man. I love working with men, but yeah, women usually raise their hand.
Yeah, right. Well, and to have the, the tools in which to teach within the relationship too, not that like, you know, one is better than the other, but when one person, regardless of gender, right, shows up in a new way, it changes the dynamic. And so you
Mm-hmm.
have to either,
Yep.
step up or step back. I don't know.
Yeah. I love that you bring that up because it is something that, women who learn the training are a little afraid of. How's my partner going to respond? And, in my relationship, like you read, I'm in for 19 years now. And I went alone to my trainings, and to learn about conscious relationship. Um, and so of course I brought it home to him, and he did end up coming along for a few events down the road, but for many years it was just me bringing it home, and that definitely improving our relationship. And there were times when I would be a little like, unskillful, so to speak, and like he would be don't therapize me or whatever you're doing right
Right,
now.
right.
So I had to learn to be tactful in my introduction and sharing. But so much of what happened in our relationship was on the inside for me too. Like I talked about my stuff around self-esteem um and just yeah, other dynamics that were going on for me in other relationships as well
Mm,
as our relationship. And as I did that inner work, it really changed how I showed up in the relationship. It took some pressure off of our relationship. I was less demanding, less
mm,
needy, or whatever it might have been.
mhm,
So it helped. And then of course he learned from how I was showing up and what I was sharing and how I was modeling it as
mhm,
well. So
mhm. I think that's super important, right? The inner work, that it's not about, we don't do this work to change other people.
right.
And that's a key.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be doing the work. And one of the things that I've learned, um, in my own similar work, um, we kind of joke and say, well, it's not all about you. And in fact, when it's other people's behaviors or other people's, experiences, it really has nothing to do with you. Like, I mean, obviously, there's a caveat there. If you're doing something on purpose to upset somebody, that's a different story.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when we're showing up in relationship, and as you noted, people who have different, whether you have a complex trauma or just a different upbringing, and you're navigating that, um, then that work is really looking inside and understanding why am I responding the way I am, or why am I acting,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
that changes that conversation.
Exactly. So true. Like when you say it's not about me, I think is, you use that phrase, and it isn't because it's also about how I'm reacting and responding. So it's like the lenses that I'm wearing, what am I making this to mean? What's my interpretation of what's being said? And of course, three different people experiencing the same person may have three different responses based
Right.
on their lenses, their background, their life experience, their trauma. So everything comes through my lenses, right? The filters
Yes.
that I've got on. We can't help that until we learn
Hmm.
to shift the filter,
Right.
right? So we
Right.
really can do that. We can really recognize, oh, I actually have these really dark filters on all the
Yeah.
time, and they're not reality. They're just what I've used to get through life. Like we in the trauma work that I do, we call that the survival strategy.
Hmm.
So there's something that's very effective about that strategy, because here you are, you survived whatever you
Right.
needed to survive. And then at a certain point, as you become an adult and often older later in your adulthood, you're like, this isn't working anymore. I'm still doing the same thing, and I'm no longer a teenager or a child or whatever it
Yeah.
is. So then we start wanting to unwind that strategy that's now like an obstacle.
Mm, yes. Well, and I like that you started with the acknowledgement of this, the survival skill or those strategies,
Mhm.
and then,
Yeah.
understanding if they're why they're not effective anymore, and that
Hmm.
they were needed, and thank you, like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you appreciate that. I really do too. Like, so important to not like shut any part of ourselves out as a bad part or a wrong part or a stupid part, like in my world, all parts are welcome. They all have a place. They all have a positive intent for us, all the parts of who we are. And then some of them we just want to take out of the driver's seat. Just like,
yes,
put in the back seat. You can now go for the ride and I'm going to drive. Thank you
yeah,
very much for your service.
yeah, yeah. It was one of the best analogies. I love that. And yeah, driving the bus. I'm think it's was it in trying to remember. Um, I'm blanking on her name. She wrote Big Magic.
I think I've heard of it too, but I'm not
But
sure.
she does that whole thing about who's driving the bus, and
Oh, huh.
you know putting
Cool.
anxiety in the back seat, and
Oh,
it's just so great. It's so
huh.
great. I'll put it in the comments after when I remember the author. I'm just
Someone
blown.
maybe will look it up and yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I would love anybody out there watching, if you have any questions about Robyn's 7-day challenge coming up. I will put all those details in the comments for sure, but let us know if you have any questions, whether you're watching the replay or you're here with us live right now. We appreciate it so much. Robyn, any final thoughts? Any tidbits of advice
Oh,
for our audience
gosh.
here?
I love it what you're doing, Renee. And so thank you for holding this space and raising consciousness. It's so awesome. It totally needs to happen on the planet. So much appreciation for that. And I just think that always awareness is the first step in change. You probably say that too. And so just that beginning of having the awareness, oh, I'm doing this thing again, or oh, that doesn't feel good to me, or oh, I kind of want to say no, but I said yes.
Mm,
So having the awareness of what we're doing needs to come first. And then also, like we were just sort of speaking about, understanding the value of all the parts is just the compassion, the the appreciation for where we've been and why we might be doing that, and not to be so hard on ourselves, because that's
yeah.
the such a such a thing that gets in the way as hindrance of like, I'm so bad, I'm so, like I was saying before. And so when we notice the pattern, if we can, my tip would be to just be kind to yourself about it, be understanding, just like you would to an adorable little child. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I see you tripped again, it's okay, you're learning. And so we can be gentle with ourselves and kind and compassionate, and we're probably going to evolve a lot more quickly than if we just keep beating ourselves over the head with
Yeah,
our own self rejection and judgment.
I totally agree. Totally
Yeah,
agree.
so that would be my takeaway for the day.
Awesome. I love it. Well, again, thank you so much for being here, Robyn. I so appreciate you. We will get that info out to all our Midwest Elevation peeps so they can check out your challenge next week. I'm super excited to see what's coming and see what fabulous prizes you have. I love
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
it. It's
Thanks,
awesome.
well,
So,
thanks for
thank you,
having me.
Midwest Elevation, for joining us today. We will be back next week for another conversation to raise the collective consciousness, and we will see you then. Thanks.